The Titanic was a marvel of early 20th century engineering, designed to be the largest, most luxurious ocean liner of its time. Built by the British company White Star Line, the ship was constructed at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, Ireland, beginning in March 1909. The goal was to create a vessel that was not only grand and fast but also practically unsinkable, a claim that would tragically be proven wrong. The construction of the Titanic was a massive undertaking. Over 3,000 workers were employed, laboring for about 2 years to build the ship. The Titanic measured 882 feet 9 inches, 269 meters, in length and weighed approximately 46,328 gross register tons. It was designed by naval architect Thomas Andrews and was intended to be the epitome of luxury and safety. The ship featured advanced technology for its time, including watertight compartments and remotely activated watertight doors that could be sealed from the bridge in case of an emergency. These compartments were a significant part of the claim that the Titanic was practically unsinkable. The liner could supposedly stay afloat even if up to 4 of its 16 watertight compartments were breached. The ship's luxury was unparalleled. It was equipped with grand staircases, Turkish baths, a swimming pool, opulent dining rooms, and even a gymnasium. First-class passengers enjoyed the finest accommodations, which included private promenades and suites designed in various lavish styles. Second- and third-class accommodations were also of a high standard, especially when compared to other ships of the time. On April 2, 1912, the Titanic underwent sea trials and was declared ready for its maiden voyage. A week later, on April 10, 1912, the Titanic set sail from Southampton, England, bound for New York City, with stops at Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, now Cove, Ireland. On board were some of the wealthiest people in the world, as well as immigrants seeking a new life in America. The Titanic sailed smoothly for the first few days, traveling across the North Atlantic at a speed of about 22 knots. Despite warnings from other ships in the area about icebergs, Captain Edward Smith and his crew maintained their course. Some historians argue that the crew was under pressure to break speed records or arrive ahead of schedule, but this is a topic of debate. On the night of April 14, 1912, the weather was unusually calm and the ocean surface was glassy. This made spotting icebergs more difficult, as there were no waves breaking against the ice. At around 11:40 p.m., lookout Frederick Fleet spotted an iceberg directly in the ship's path. He immediately rang the alarm bell and reported the sighting to the bridge. First Officer William Murdoch, in command at the time, attempted to steer the ship away and ordered the engines to be reversed. However, the Titanic could not avoid a collision. The iceberg scraped along the starboard side of the ship, breaching 6 of the watertight compartments. This damage proved to be fatal, as the ship was only designed to stay afloat if 4 compartments were flooded. Within minutes, water began flooding the lower decks. The crew quickly realized the ship was doomed, though many passengers were initially unaware of the seriousness of the situation. The ship's designer, Thomas Andrews, was among the first to understand that the Titanic would sink, and he urged the crew to start loading the lifeboats. One of the most tragic aspects of the disaster was the lack of lifeboats. Although the Titanic carried 20 lifeboats, more than the legal minimum required at the time, it was not enough to accommodate all 2,224 passengers and crew on board. The ship was only equipped to save about half that number, and due to confusion and lack of adequate drills, many lifeboats were launched partially empty. As the bow of the ship dipped deeper into the ocean, distress signals were sent, but the closest ship, the Californian, was not able to respond in time. The Carpathia, another vessel, received the distress call but was about 4 hours away. By the time it arrived, the Titanic had already sunk. At approximately 2:20 a.m. on April 15, just over 2.5 hours after the collision, the Titanic broke apart and sank beneath the icy waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Over 1,500 people lost their lives, either trapped on the sinking ship or succumbing to the frigid waters. Only about 700 survivors were rescued by the Carpathia. The sinking of the Titanic set shockwaves around the world and prompted major changes in maritime safety regulations. One of the most significant outcomes was the establishment of the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, CELAS, which mandated that ships must carry enough lifeboats for all passengers and crew. It also improved protocols for ship inspections, radio communication, and iceberg monitoring. The Titanic disaster remains one of the most infamous maritime tragedies in history. The shipwreck was located in 1985 by a team led by Robert Ballard, resting about 12,500 feet below the surface of the North Atlantic. The story of the Titanic continues to captivate people worldwide, symbolizing both human ambition and the hubris of believing that man could build something immune to nature's forces. The Titanic's legacy lives on through books, documentaries, and the 1997 film Titanic, which further cemented its place in popular culture. Despite the tragedy, the ship remains an enduring symbol of early 20th century opulence, technological innovation, and the perils of overconfidence.